Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm Bob Walters. This is Locked Up Sports. Just finished a wild Sunday in the NFL, week number 17, one game left. We got the schedule for next week, which has just been released by the NFL. There are 3 games of big significance. There are 2 playoff games next week. We'll get it all to you. We'll get you when they're playing, what times they're playing, and we will recap a wild Sunday in the NFL, week 17. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Bob Walters. This is Locked Up Sports. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Every little bit helps. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast end, don't forget to leave us a review, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to the show. Thank you for joining us here today, guys. Great game between the Bears and the Niners. Just finished up. You had the number 1 pick overall, and then the last pick in the draft a couple of years ago going head-to-head, and they went toe-to-toe. And for every last second of this game, they went back and forth and up and down the field. It was tied 7-7. It was tied 14-14, 21-21, 28-28, and 35-35. It was the first ever regular season game to have that happen. And it was just back and forth the entire night from the very first play to the very last play. First play was a pick 6 by the Bears. The very last play was an incomplete pass where the Bears would have won the game if they stuck it in the end zone there. And just a wild game, a really, like, one of the last 3 weeks, there have been multiple games each week where you just are, you leave breathless after watching these games because you just can't believe it. This one, there was no defense played. I mean, listen, nobody stopped anybody. There was one field goal is what cost the Bears the game. They kicked the field goal instead of sticking it in the end zone. Then the Niners came back. Purdy made that great play where he looked like Mahomes, going in and out and up and down, and then just kind of flicking it to his guy who was open after just so much time, him running around in the backfield. And Caleb Williams matched him every bit of the way. The Bears are good. The Niners are good. Listen, it's going to be a good NFC playoffs. I'll tell you that much. The NFC is stronger. They got better. They got more better teams than the AFC. But the AFC is interesting in its own right. And listen, there's going to be the Bucs lost today. The NFC South basically showed you how bad of a division it really is, and how there's going to be a team coming out of there getting a home playoff game that doesn't deserve at all a home playoff game, but they're going to win the division, and you win your division, you get a home playoff game, and it's either going to be Carolina or it's going to be Tampa. And they both lost today. Carolina lost to Seattle in one of the uglier games of the day. That thing was 3-3 heading into half. Seattle looked every bit as bad as I've been telling you they look. They didn't look like a number 1 seed again. This is now a month where Seattle really hasn't played a game where they've looked like they should be the 1 seed coming out of a conference and have home field throughout the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win next week against San Francisco, so I don't think it's going to really be an issue. But I could see, they could get picked off by one of these NFC South teams. Now, they got lucky. They ended up winning going away today against Carolina. And then Tampa also lost. And listen, Tampa hasn't won a game. Tampa's 1-7 in their last 8 games. And they are still alive heading into week 18, the last week of the season. They just got to win a home game against the Carolina team that is very shaky in its own right, and they'll be in the playoffs. So listen, the NFC South has its own thing. We told you they were going to figure it out themselves because they're going to play each other. And then you got the Steelers today, who going into Cleveland just had to beat a bad Browns team, and they couldn't do it. They had a chance. They had a play down in the inside the 10-yard line on the last play of the game to win the game, and Rodgers couldn't complete the pass, incomplete, and now the Ravens look like they have the upper hand, and they are now the favorites heading into this Week 18, because last night, Derrick Henry was just unstoppable. He was running over everybody. He had one of his great games in his Hall of Fame career. 210 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's just running guys over all night. Now, the question is he going to be, fatigued after that? Who knows? It's going to be a wild one, but the schedule is out. So you got Steelers, Ravens, a playoff game, winner in, loser goes home next week. That's basically a playoff game. You got Tampa, Carolina, basically a playoff game. That's going to be Saturday. That's the early game on Saturday. And then what they did was they put Tampa, Carolina on Saturday because they have Saturday and Sunday games, and they don't have the schedule yet until about a half hour ago. And I'm recording this at 12:30. So they just put it out. Saturday, you got 4:30, Carolina at Tampa. Winner goes to the playoffs. Loser goes home. There is a way that Carolina could still get in. It involves Atlanta winning tomorrow night and Atlanta winning again next week. It's confusing. We'll go over it. But basically, it's a playoff game. Basically, it's winner in, loser home. Carolina at Tampa, 4:30 on Saturday on ESPN. Then on ESPN as well at 8 o'clock on Saturday, so ESPN gets both games Saturday, you have San Francisco, Seattle. Seattle heading to San Francisco to play a road game. San Francisco wins that game. They will not play a road game again until week 1 of next year if they make it that far. Because they would have the road to the Super Bowl goes through San Francisco, and the Super Bowl is held in their park. So, and San Francisco looks, they look unbeatable. There's no way that Seattle's going to hang with San Francisco if they play anywhere near the way each of them played today. Because Seattle struggled. Sam Darnold did not play well. They scored 3 points in the first half. They just couldn't do anything. It was a sloppy game, turnovers all over the place. And we told you a couple weeks ago, again, they got bailed out by their kicker against Old Man Rivers, 6 field goals. Then they had the game where they had the miraculous comeback and they beat the Rams, but they didn't look great in that game either. So it's been a while since the Seattle has really played a full 60-minute game where they just looked like every bit a conference, number one in a conference where they should have home field and a bye. Now, San Francisco looked like it today, and San Francisco is an amazing story. They have been decimated by injuries. They have had some of their biggest stars miss half the season or more. Multiple. McCaffrey and a bunch of them just out for 6-8 weeks during the season. And they are still 12-4, and they have a game at home to win and be the number 1 seed in the conference. And you got the Rams out there who are, again, really good. Rams are a really good team. And they haven't really slipped up except for the one game against Seattle, and that's going to end up costing them. So it's a fascinating thing going on next week. Like I said, we got the 2 games because now let me get to where Pittsburgh and Baltimore are going to play. Pittsburgh coming into this week was cruising, 4-game win streak. They just got to beat the Browns easy, no problem, right? They'll go in there, they'll take care of business, and that'll be it. And Baltimore will be out. Well, Baltimore went into Lambeau Field yesterday, and they pushed around the Packers. Packers, of course, decimated with injuries as well. But everybody has injuries. So you really can't use that as an excuse. This time of year, everybody's got injuries. Big players on each team. But the Packers last night really struggled. They didn't look good. It's such a week-to-week thing that you could say, okay, the Ravens look real good. Well, 2 weeks ago, the Ravens looked terrible. You could say that there's only a couple teams that are consistent. Tampa's been consistently bad now for 2 months. Carolina has been inconsistent week to week. You don't know what you're going to get. You could have said that about the Steelers, that the Steelers were looking consistent because they'd won 4 in a row. That's a month worth of wins. Okay, they're looking good. And then they come in and lay a stinker and lose to a bad Cleveland team. And now they play in the Ravens, who were basically coming into last night with dead in the water. They were dead on arrival. They had to go into Lambeau to beat a good Packers team, a hot Packers team that just won a game. And it wasn't going to happen, right? And then they needed the Steelers to lose it, and it happened. The Ravens went in there, and they looked like a Super Bowl team last night. Derrick Henry, that was the Hall of Fame Derrick Henry that we remember from the Titans. Showed up last night and just ran people over for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. And they were dead coming in. Now, everybody's picking them to win next week because you had the Steelers laying an egg today in Cleveland, and you had last night just a dominant performance in Lambeau Field in December in a big game. And then you got the Bears. The Bears are another one of the teams that, they've been pretty consistent. About 4 or 5 weeks ago, they did play in Lambeau Field. They lost. But since then, Caleb Williams he's just stepped it up now to another level. He has just been incredible. And he was incredible again tonight, and it was just, you can't blame that on him. You can't blame that game on anybody. That was just a great game back and forth, and it came down to one or two plays. The Niners have been very consistent. The Bears, we'll say, has been consistent, but not for too long. The Patriots have been very consistent. They went in, and as expected, they just whooped the Jets. Just had their way with it. 21, 28-0 before 28-3. When you blinked an eye, it's 28-3. And the girl missed the kick, by the way, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But they win 42-10. The only Jet score was a Breece Hall 50-something yard run. He broke one and he took it to the house. But you got all these teams now, and it's so week to week that you just got to get in, and you have a chance. I think, especially in a wide open thing like this. You had the Bills today. They lose a game. They go for 2 on the last play of the game, and they didn't get it. That was another one. The Eagles now all of a sudden went from, they've been missing something all year, and that's what I've been saying. I said it this morning, even on the show. They're missing something. I don't think the Eagles are going to factor in. Well, you look at that game today. They went into Buffalo against a good Buffalo team. They were shutting them out for about 55, 53 minutes. Josh Allen again tried to pull him out of the fire after a goal line stand in the late third quarter by the Eagles, kept it 13-0. Finally, the Bills break through with about 7-8 minutes left. They get a touchdown. It's Josh Allen again pulling him out of the fire, trying to save the day again in the very last couple minutes of the game. And I told you it's going to come back and bite them because you're not going to be able to do it every time, especially when you play good teams. Now the Eagles look like a good team. So the Eagles come in there, they're up 13-0. Josh Allen pulls the rabbit out of his hat again, gets them in the end zone. The kicker misses the extra point, which ended up being just devastatingly costly. Because now they go down the field, they get the ball back, they get the Eagles to go 3 and out, they get the ball back with about 2 minutes left. They got all the time out, all the time in the world. They get down, they convert a couple fourth downs, they get down inside the 10-yard line. They make a play where it looks like the guy scores with 9 seconds left. They review it. It turns out his elbow brushes the ground and the ball's like 3 inches from the goal line. One play to decide the game. Of course, they just sneak it in. That was gonna be a touchdown either way. They sneak it in. They decide to go for 2, which I don't know if I agreed with, but with the fact that you knew the Patriots had already won, they won the division. I'm not too upset about it. He goes for 2, doesn't get it. Listen, the guy was open in the corner of the end zone. Same thing with Caleb Williams. He had a guy open, but what are you going to do? You can't blame Josh Allen. He's the only reason they're in this position. That team has been looking to cough up their playoff position and cough up this season all year. The defense can't play in the first half. They fall behind multiple scores every game. They don't put it in the end zone. They don't score enough points. And then Josh Allen shows up in the fourth quarter and just becomes the magic man, somehow gets them back in these games, and he's been winning every one till today. The Eagles stopped him on a goal line stand in the third quarter, at the end of the third quarter, and then they stopped them on a 2-point conversion. And listen, the Eagles, as well as their defense played, they didn't play very well. They had like 19 total yards in the second half. After dominating the first half, they were dominating that game. There's no way the Bills should have ever gotten. It should have come down to a 2-point conversion. No way. 13-0. That game could have been 27-0. But the Eagles in the second half, the offense just went away. They got no offense in the second half. 19 total yards. And the Bills were going up and down the field, and the Eagles defense was keeping them in it by making the goal line stand, by stopping the Bills. And then once Josh Allen stuck it in the end zone that first time, you knew they were going to get it back again. And the Eagles again, all they had to do was get 1 or 2 first down. Game's over. After it's now 13-6, all you need is 2 first downs. Game's over. On an offense that was moving the ball up and down the field the whole first half. Didn't do anything in the second half. You can't even get the first down. You go 3 and out, give it back to the Bills. They go down the field. They put it in the end zone again. And they go for 2, and they miss it. So it's so random. It's so hard to predict anything going forward. I thought the Chargers were looking good. They came out, they looked terrible on Saturday. It's such a week-to-week league, and it's so wide open, and it's the parity is just all over the place. Because these teams will look like world beaters. And it goes from half to half. Look, the Eagles look so good in the first half, dominating the game, and then just nothing in the second half, nothing. And it's week to week. These teams look fantastic. Wouldn't shock me at all if next week the Steelers go out and beat the Ravens. How could you even be shocked for something like that happening? You can't, because it's so week to week, and you have no idea what you're going to get. No idea. Unless, of course, it's the Jets or the Giants. And, of course, the Giants, even today, the Giants went out there. They look good. I know it was the Raiders, but they looked like a competent football team. Jackson Dart played well. Slayton got his receptions, got his 1,000 yards, and they look fantastic. Now the Jets didn't stand a chance coming into this game. That was just and New England's just clicking on all cylinders. I mean, Drake May, what he did, I don't think he threw 3 incomplete passes today. He had a 90% completion rate. He threw 5 touchdowns, and he had 300 yards passing. First quarterback in NFL history to achieve that milestone. And then you had tonight, you had the first time a game was ever tied at every interval of 7 between 0 and 35. It was just touchdown, 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 touchdown. And then eventually the Niners got to stop. They forced a field goal, and that was the difference. That was it. It still came down to one play for the game. The parity is all over the place. You have the Seahawks who looked, that great comeback. They weren't able to build any momentum off that great comeback. They come in, and it's just garbage today. That was garbage by the Seahawks and Carolina. In Carolina. Just fumbles, sloppy, missed plays, bad throws, nobody's scoring, missed field goals. 3-3. 2 teams that are probably going to be in the playoffs in 2 weeks. 3-3 at half, 3-3 into the third quarter. Yet they put up the 30, 40 something, whatever, just 2 weeks ago against the Rams. You can't figure it out. And if you try to figure it out, you won't. You won't be able to figure it out. And like I said, the Giants, and I listen, and don't give me the, how many times do I got to see on social media that, of course, leave it to the Giants to win the game they're supposed to lose. You're not supposed to lose any game. You don't go out there to lose. None of the players are making tape that people are going to scrutinize and watch. None of them on any team in any of these situations are going out there to lose. Now, if a team is tanking and someone's saying they're tanking, what he means is they're not putting their best players out there. But nobody on the field is going out there and throwing these games and looking to lose so they could so their team could get a draft pick, a number 1 pick. Because they might not even, they don't even know if they're going to be on the team. So why do they care? They care about playing hard, because someone's going to look at that tape and it might cost them money, or they might give him extra money if he has a 3-sack game or 10 catches. So I don't know what everybody wants where, of course the Giants won, right? Go out there. They didn't do, the Raiders tried to lose. Why couldn't the Giants try to lose? Raiders didn't try to lose. Raiders stink. The Raiders stink. And that's how bad they are, is that they got blown out by the Giants at home. Now, the Jets were tanking. How do you know they were tanking? Now, listen, not this week and not next week, because they don't stand a chance this week or next week. But they're putting out Cook as their quarterback. They're just not putting out their best team. That's tanking. And I agree with Sean Marash, who went on a rant today on Twitter or whatever, talking about how do they not have a draft lottery, because, and does kind of make you want your team to lose. I don't think anybody or I shouldn't say that because people do. I don't think people should be actively rooting against their team so you can get the number one pick. Listen, the Giants have had top 5 picks all over the place, scattered throughout the last 12 years. The Giants have had probably 6 or 7 top 5 picks. And they stink. They still stink. So it doesn't always help you. The Niners, who got Brock Purdy as they were cleaning up the draft venue, very last pick. You know who gave him his jersey and who he took a picture with when he wasn't, because he wasn't even really there at the draft when they called his name, which I don't even think they called his name, but they make a thing because it's Mr. Irrelevant. His parents. He took a picture with mom and dad. Everybody, Jalen Williams and all these other top picks, and they were all walking up there in front of millions of people watching on TV, in front of a full house of wherever there be, the building or the venue where they're holding it is packed to the gills. People screaming and yelling. Nobody even knew Brock Purdy was picked. Nobody even knew who Brock Purdy was until they saw his name crawl across the bottom of their screen in the next day. He went up there. Roger Goodell was there with a hat, a jersey. I don't even think they gave Brock Purdy. I think they had to go. His parents wouldn't surprise me if his parents had to go buy a Niners jersey. and he is there playing a game like that we just watched on Sunday night against going toe to toe with the number one pick from one of these number one picks. So you have no idea. So to sit there and say, well, the Giants screwed it up. Another thing they screwed up. They won today. I can't believe it. No. They probably weren't going to take the number one pick anyway. They probably were going to trade it, which is probably more valuable for a team like the Giants because they need pieces. Unbelievably, they need pieces, right? They shouldn't need pieces. When you've had, 6 or 7 top 5 picks in the last 10 or 12 years, you should not need pieces anymore. You should have got them all at the very top of the draft 7 times in the last 12 years. And they didn't. Because if you make a mistake, it's very easy to make a mistake in the draft. But, that's besides the point. Listen, the draft is a long way away. But my point I was getting to was Marash was saying there should be a draft lottery, and I agree. Do ping pong balls. Because you do have teams that tank, and the Jets tanked by putting Cook out there, keep running him out there. By trading away the top players, the top defenders, they tanked. But that doesn't mean that they were throwing games. So get that out of your head. But listen, we don't need to talk about Jets or the Giants, right? The girl missed the field goal, by the way, like I said before. So, come on. I thought you were a high school. I mean, I know the pressure's on. It wasn't great weather, and there's wind, and it's the Meadowlands, but you missed the kick. Like, now, how dumb did the Jets and Woody feel? Could have avoided all that bad press and just ran her out there and let her kick the thing short. But, there's too many good things to be talking about in this league today besides a girl that missed a field goal to win $100,000 and the Jets who got their ass whooped by their rivals who had a dynasty, finished the dynasty, went into a lull for a year or two, and are now back and might be the number 1 seed and might have the best quarterback again in the NFL. They certainly have the most accurate. Tampa, Carolina, listen, is what it is. You're going to get a bad team coming out of that division. It happens. And yep, they're going to get a home playoff game. And yep, people are going to bitch and moan saying they don't deserve the home playoff game. But what are you going to do? About once or twice every 10 or 15 years, you get this. It used to be a 7-9 team would make it, or they'd be 8-8. And they make it, and they get the home playoff game, and it's an anomaly of the sport of how they do it, and there's nothing wrong with how they do it, and they shouldn't change how they do it. And there's going to be people telling you they should change, and why does Seattle with 12 wins have to go and play Tampa with 8 wins? Because they didn't win the division. That's why. And that's the end of the discussion. So listen, elsewhere, yeah, let me look here. What do we have? Chargers yesterday. You had the Ravens with the big one yesterday. Colts today. Listen, valiant effort. Another valiant effort by Phillip Rivers. It was probably that the word is that I don't think he's going to play next week. He's not going to start next week. Listen, great job, Phillip Rivers. Great job, because he went toe-to-toe today with a good Jacksonville team. And Jacksonville had to pull it out of their ass in the second half and have a great second half just to beat them. Colts were flying in the first half. Rivers would look good. They were moving the ball up and down the field. The defense showed up actually. And then, then Jacksonville would kind of impose their will in the second half and came back and they beat them by a touchdown. And listen, the Indianapolis had a throw into the end zone. That's what happened. That was Phillip Rivers. He threw last play of the game. He threw it, completed it. The guy got tackled out of bounds right around midfield. There was a penalty, a defensive penalty. Lions fans, a defensive penalty. And they had a Hail Mary. Rivers doesn't have the arm strength anymore to get it, 60 yards in the air. So they brought in their other kid. Rivers got a good ovation. He had his high school team at the game. And listen, Phillip Rivers, it was very impressive. All 3 games. He came out after just from the couch, not played football, competitive football, let alone NFL football in 5 years. And he came out and he played 3 games where he put his team in a position to win every single one of them. They couldn't do it. They were a team they're talking about Tampa and free fall. Indianapolis is the OG free fall of this season. They were 7-1. They haven't won since. Their quarterbacks went down. That's a nightmare season. Nightmare season. And the Steelers today and Aaron Rodgers, you don't belong in the playoffs if you can't go into Cleveland and win that game today. The fact that they went in there, stunk up the place like they did. Cleveland played okay. Give them credit. Defense played well. But you got to win. You got to put this thing away. And now, Baltimore, red hot, coming off it was almost a blowout win. I'm going to say blowout win. Green Bay got it within a score in the fourth quarter, and then it just 2 quick scores right back, and that thing was over. So, one more week to go. It's going to be an interesting week. Like I said, the schedule's out. And then the Bills. We talked about the Bills. Listen, there was a lot of good games. And then the best one, the best of the best, I think, was at the night game. Most entertaining, at least, probably. The Bills game was great. All the games that really mattered this week, excluding the Tampa and Tampa was okay even. That was an okay game. Excluding the Carolina and Seattle game, was just on point, edge of your seat stuff on both Saturday and Sunday. And we got another 2-day full weekend of football next week. And they kick it off with the Tampa, Carolina, 4:30. Then the 1 seed will be settled in San Francisco Saturday night with the Niners hosting the Seahawks. And then you go into Sunday and you have Sunday night Steelers Ravens, which is going to be a knockdown drag out. It is. You got Rodgers desperately wanting to get in the playoffs and have one more shot. He's not going to win it, but he had one more shot at a run. Rodgers wants. And then you got the Ravens and Huntley's going to be the quarterback, and Henry, we're coming off one of the all-time great games a running back has had in a big spot. It's going to be a lot of fun. And they're even talking maybe Jackson is ready next weekend. He's listed as probable. He's not out. He's not questionable. He's questionable. But Huntley's not bad. And you know what? And Malik Willis for the Packers, he had himself a hell of a game too. And he played 2 straight now. He is a good quarterback. He could start in this league and take a team to the playoffs. And he might get a gig somewhere next year. Watch out for him because he is good. The Ravens methodically going down the field time after time again, just 9-minute drives, 8-minute drives, one after another. And that a lot of his issue was he scored too quick. The very first play after an 8-minute drive down the field where the Ravens put it in the end zone, Willis comes out, and 2 plays he's got the Packers in the end zone for a tie game. Then they go back onto the sideline. Another 8-minute long drive into the end zone. Just working Derrick Henry. Clock running. And like, the Packers had, how many points did they have in the first half? They ran I think they ran 19 plays in the first half. 63 plays were run by the Ravens. And the score was at the half 27-14. So he marched, and he scored, he scored the first drive on the second or third play, and then they scored one late, 27-14. He brought them back, got them within a score. And then the defense faltered again. And that the defense is an issue for Green Bay. But as far as predicting these games and predicting the Super Bowl and stuff, forget it. It's impossible. You have no idea what you're going to get from any of these teams. There's like I told you, there's like 3 or 4 consistent teams. Patriots, Niners. I don't even want to say the Bears because they were bad a couple, 6 weeks ago they were bad. The Rams, you could say, are consistent. That's really it. Denver's been okay, but listen, these kid quarterbacks they're gonna learn. Different animal in the playoffs. They think they got this thing all figured out. Drake May included, but I think Drake May might have it figured out. You look at the Denver quarterback. You look at the Bears quarterback. These guys think they have it all figured out. This league is easy. Walking in the air, I'm taking my team to the playoff, a top 3 seed, winning divisions. You watch. Because mistakes are made in the playoffs. The pressure's high. The speed is faster. The game is more intense. There's more eyeballs on it. You feel the pressure, and it leads you to mistakes. And you're also playing against the best teams. So 17 games left in the NFL season, regular season, and then it's on to the playoffs. Who will be left standing in San Francisco at the end of January? Who the hell knows? But I know it's gonna be fun watching them get there and watching it happen. So that does it for me. Don't forget, tomorrow night, still one more game left in this crazy week and crazy league. You got Atlanta and the Rams. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. We'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody. We'll preview that game. Don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. That does it for me. For Brett Grasso will probably be back. I'm going to try and get him on tomorrow. We'll see if we get a guest. Listen, great Sunday. One more to go. And then it's the playoffs. Then it really ramps up, and I can't wait. From the Brian Gunzel Studios, we'll talk to you next time, everybody. I'm Bob Walters. See ya.